used two hooks. One is use state, another one is use effect. Use it. So more will come into data binding. We will see. Now we need to understand to create good designs. We need to understand another concept, that is style binding and class binding. Another point you need to know style binding. So actually, what is the concept of style binding? So generally, the concept of style binding is nothing but, so style binding is a technique used in web applications to bind CSS style attributes, CSS style attributes to any JSX element. So style binding is a technique used in web applications. So to bind to any element, actually in React we call as JSX element. In general web application, it is an element. In React application, we call them as what? JSX elements. So style binding is nothing but you can bind the CSS styles to any element. Why we need to bind a CSS style? Actually, in HTML, so this is in HTML, how we do that? Input, suppose type is equal to text. We want to remove the border, then we write style border as what? None. Like this we configure. How it works in JavaScript? Suppose this is having a ID called username, sim user. Now how you do style binding in JavaScript? In JavaScript, document dot get element by ID, element by ID. So user, to this user we need to apply an attribute property called style, and the dot style attribute, you have to write an CSS attribute. You know, CSS attributes use camel case. They use camel case. You cannot write exactly how you write in CSS. You have to use camel case and equal to whatever the value. That means why you need this binding of styles dynamically, so that we can change the appearance of an element dynamically. We can change the appearance of element dynamically by binding the styles. That means every time we don't want an element in the same way. Later we will apply in various places. We are first learning the technique. For example, you are doing some validation. When you are doing the validations, some value is not entered into a field, then it should turn red, and a value entered, then it should turn green. That means dynamically the appearance should change. So how you can change the appearance of any element dynamically? By changing the attributes dynamically. What is problem in this here in HTML? It is a fixed style. The style will not change. Always it will be border none. But according to situation, it should change. Then you use this technique. You have to define this technique. In Angular, React like technologies, they have simple methods. So syntactically here, in React, what we have to do is, in React, how the binding works. In React, we have input type is text. And here we need to use style attribute. In the style attribute, you need to pass a dynamic expression. In this dynamic expression, you need a CSS object. That CSS object will use the CSS attribute and its value as a string. This is important. If there are many attributes, then every attribute, remember, what is this type? What is that type? Object type. It is an JavaScript object. That means key and value. So key and value. So you have to define the key and value in an object form. You have to define in an object form. So that means you have to define in an object style. So if you have another attribute, then you have to put a comma. Generally in HTML, you will put a semicolon for every attribute, but it is a JavaScript object used for CSS. In that case, you have to define with the comma. So that means how do we add multiple styles? To add multiple styles, so here important is style attributes are configured using camel case. Using camel case. For example, you have a background color that you write like this, background color. We have font size that you write as font size like that. We have text align. You write as what? Text align. Like this you need to write. So that is how we define option. Suppose we have color, then you write as color. If the attributes are separated with an hyphen, then they must be written in camel case. We have to write in camel case. So here, dynamically applying the values. I will open our project. So here, example will be like this. So you have an input type is text, then you write a style, and in this you need to define an object. This is border as none. So we have background color as some yellow. Like this we need to define. So this is not yet dynamic. We will make it dynamic. I am describing how the styles are written. So JSX element will not allow the styles in the same way how you used to write for HTML. For JSX element, you have to use this technique. So observe carefully here. style attribute. And in the style attribute, what is this block? First block, binding expression. And in that binding expression, what you are binding? Object. That is the point you need to note. So the binding expression, it is binding an object. So styles are defined in the form of a JavaScript object, right? So we can configure the styles and define the styles. Let's see one example. So I will go into the components and let's add a component here. So we will add one component, style demo. Okay, a new file, style demo.jsx. And in this, we are creating a function and a style demo. So return and just we will keep a container, and here we are configuring some register. So there is some text box, user name, and we have some text box as text, and a placeholder, say name required. Okay, now what should happen here is, in this, when user is having the details, okay, let's say we will keep that in the startup. So in index, what we need to do, keep style demo in the startup, style demo in the startup. Okay, now this is the page you have. Now anyone clicked inside and without entering any name, they come out. Then usually we call it as blur. Blur means, so user clicked and come out, focus, lost focus. On focus, if there is no value, then we need to alert. Or if they are not entering any value, we should change it to red color. That means we need to change this to red color. So how you can change the color, how you can apply? Generally, when you are writing styles for any element, even for a heading or a term or anywhere, when you are writing styles, it is mandatory that, see, I am writing a style. And a style, as usual, if I am writing, it is not a JSX element. So how do we configure the styles? We need to configure in a binding expression. In a binding expression, you have to put an object. This object will have key. So the key is like a border, like that, and colon, and it's have value. Value must be always string type only. So we keep that as none. So another value. So that means comma. We need to set some box shadow. And what is the value? Value is 2 pixel. So that is 2 pixel, 3 pixel or 2 pixel, some gray shadow. And you can see that this is the style object we applied like this. We are applying a style like this. We remove the border. We are defining like this. Now when I click inside, I want to remove that outline. I want to remove the outline when I click inside. So usually what we do here is we have to write some events. What are the events? Focus, blur, change, different types of events. For example, see now, this appearance, this appearance is already applied. So, but this is static. We are sending some value static, but we want to change, not static appearance. Appearance should change. Then we don't write here. What we do is first we will maintain. Let me put an empty object. Okay. First, we will create a state, a constant state. I will give the name as valid, say, error style. And this error style is having a setter, set error style, set error style. And what is the reference? Use state. And it is an object type, because style is expecting an object. It should be an object type. So it's not a string or a number. It should be an object type. Okay. In that, this is just basic object. This object we will apply here. That means we will apply that error style object here. So all the effects come from that object. And initially how it should look like. So initially you see it is not having any appearance. It's plain, not having any appearance. Initially, if you want some appearance, then what you do, use effect. Use effect, that means at the time of mount, when it is mounting, you know how to write use effect. At the time of mounting, set error style. And into that error style, you set what you want. That means I will keep here, the error style will use border as what? None. It's an object actually. That means at the time of mounting, you can see we have to define that style, and that style should remove it. So we are using error style, and that error style should be defined here. But what is the object it is using? Key, border. Is that key available in this object? It is not available in that object. So suppose I am defining here the key. What is it? Border. Border is actually empty now. But still, see here, when you apply this here, why this border may be coming? Because of your bootstrap. Bootstrap already have borders. They have already border. Suppose this border we have given 2 pixel solid as red, like this. That means that is the appearance we are applying for that here. So the style object here, you see there is no appearance. So we are configuring the error style with an object, and we are applying that object here. Error style I will apply here. Okay. Now the error style we will configure here. So when it should change the style, when user doing some interactions, your styles should not be overridden by other styles or classes. For that, first you should know the basic rules of styles. I think you learned those rules. Why styles? Which style, which effect will dominate? You know the rules, right? So, what are the CSS rules you learned about styles? If you don't follow the rules, the styles will not work. What are the rules here? Generally, CSS have various types of selector. So priority of selectors. What you learnt? Priority of selectors. First priority is given for ID. Second priority is given for class. And third priority is given for type. So we have a ID selector, we have a class selector, and a type selector. You learned in CSS. So if these priorities are having, they are defined inside for the element, you will have issues. You have to face that, right? Now, important is we are configuring the style and we are defining some styles. This is one priority. Next, another priority is there. So, inline, external, and embedded. Am I right? Which one first priority? Inline will have first priority. Second priority is embedded. And third priority is what? External file. That means sometimes your styles may be in a CSS, those you may repeat in your embed, or you may write inline. Then again domination issues will come, especially when you are using any bootstrap or any other. There already some styles are configured. So important, the basic rules you should know. And not only basic rules, you have to know about the inheritance. Am I right? In CSS, you learned inheritance. What are the CSS inheritance values? We have inherit, we have initial, am I right? And we have unset. These are the inheritance attributes you learned in CSS. Inherit means what? The parent features it will automatically implement. If it is not implementing, you want to manually implement, that you have to define using inherit. Any parent feature it is implementing by default, and then you can unset, you can use initial. These are all basic points actually. If you have to apply styles, classes, and you don't follow these rules, then lot of violation will happen. You will see abnormal behavior, because this will regularly come when you are practicing, because some styles are already present in other components. You may be using them anywhere else, they affect here. We'll see. Now let's write the style for validation first. I'll write the validation here. So see, this error style, suppose you are giving a style. So what is the style? So we are defining the style as what? Error style. We given the error style. You see it is applying. So why not for text box? Because already it will have some styles effects because of what? Bootstrap and all those things. So we have some set of styles configured, defined here. Now what we need to do is, when user is entering the details, modifying the details, we need to set. Okay, let's see. As of now, initial state, I am not configuring any style. I'm just giving like this. Okay, now we will write an event. What is the event? On change. On change is handle name change. So we will write a function. So what is the function? Handle name change. When they are typing something inside the text box, how to collect its value? E. By using the event argument, we can collect the value. If the value is not there, that means if e dot target dot value, is equal to empty, That means there is no value inside. Then what should happen? We need to set error style. What is the error style you need to set? Error style is an object and it requires border. How many? Suppose 2 pixel solid. So red color border I need to apply. That is the error style we need to configure. That is the error style we need to apply. And usually you see the error style for this here. I'm typing here something, it's okay, and I am not typing, so error style it is applied there. Here it is used. I will remove from here. If you are not entering the details, so you can see, so the error style must be applied to this one. That means we are not applying anything, then the error style must be applied to this. But as I already told you, we are using some effects, classes, and all those for these elements, then you cannot handle. We will remove the bootstrap and we will apply those styles and see, right? So what we will do now, we will remove the effects and we will try to apply the styles. Usually there are two events here. What are those two events? When you are not entering the data, then it should be red. So here how you verify that? Actually you can apply for entire. Suppose you see style for the data term and we will keep here an object. What is the object? Error style object. So error style, suppose because that is not changing your text box, we are changing here background color. Background color, it is empty. That means there is no background color. And if value is not entered, we will set the background color. How we will set background color as what? So it is red. That is the background color we are applying. That means what happens here? When you are typing, it's fine. When you are not typing, it should apply that. Some problem? Attribute is correct, right? On change, somewhere effect. Target value is coming. This value. Handle name change. Which one? Some issue is there in this. Let's check. We'll check the value. What is coming first? Console.log e dot target dot value. We will also get the console log error style. So what is it? Let's check. In the console, we are entering some details. The background color is empty. When we remove, it is not applying, right? That means it is not verifying empty. This logic is not verified. So initially it is there, it is not applied with the color. Set error style. What is problem? Let's say If empty, here I will write here, is it verifying empty? Okay, it is fine. The background color is an object working here. Let's go error style. Acha, we are using this as an object, right? It is directly object now, right? That is the problem we have. Okay, what we are doing actually is we are using this as an object. Actually, itself is an object, huh? It itself is an object, so no need to write like an object. Itself is an object, so we have to just pass it. Okay, fine. Now we will apply here. We can override this. What we will do, so we need to define style. What is that style? Error style. It's an object we are directly applying. Now you see the background will be red. Okay, let's add this to our general effect. What is it? We are changing the background. We will change the border for the text box if value is not entered. What we will do, this we will set it to what? Border. It is empty. Here we will set the border as how many? 2 pixel, and solid, and what? Red. Okay, now this style we will change. Else, what is the error style if value is present? The value style we will keep border as 2 pixel, and it is solid, we will keep as green. Okay, now this error style we need to apply for this text box. Already text box is having some effect through embedded style of CSS, but we can modify that by using style. And what is the object? Error style object. We are defining the error style object. Now I click here and I am typing something. So error style is not a function. Where is that? Error style, set error style, right? Yeah, set error style. And here we are typing something and remove this, then it will put that red color. Actually red color is there, then when I click outside it will come, because some additional bootstrap styles are there. That is the reason. If I entered some value, what will happen? It will display green. That means the element style is changing when you are dynamically adding. So just you are accessing the styles and you are configuring the styles dynamically. So if a value is not entered in the text box, then what we are doing, we are setting a style border red. But make sure that you remove those bootstrap styles and also that you can see the style how it is there, right? Otherwise, suppose see now, I click inside, you cannot see the color that is applied for that because already bootstrap have a style. If you want to remove that, then what you can do, so you can go to the CSS of bootstrap and you can disable them, or you can override the CSS. That I will show you in next option also. How do we do that? We will write another function. What is the function is, I will say, so function handle on focus, handle on focus, or say name focus. And in JavaScript, how to write a focus event? We have to write a focus event on focus. On focus, we will use handle name focus. And here, what we have to do is, we have to accept set style error style. Here, we will keep as border as none. That means we are not adding any border. We will keep border as none. And observe carefully here, when you click inside, still it is there because that is not border. Do you know what it is called in CSS? So it is called outline. Am I right? In CSS, you need to define outline. What is the outline you have to keep? That means directly when you are defining the styles for any element, actually there is a style called outline style. We have an outline. That outline we have to set it to what? None. So what we will do, we will use outline and we will keep it to what? None. Usually outline none is nothing but there is no outline for the text box. I click here, initially see there is an outline, and click inside, that is focus. That means there is no outline, and I am typing, you see again outline will come. Then while typing, again I need to remove the outline. Then what we have to do here, everywhere you add that style. What is that? Another attribute. What is it? Outline. Outline, keep it as what? None. Here also we will remove that. What is it? Outline as what? None. Now you can see that I click and you can see the green and red colors directly. Otherwise problem will be there. Why I have to use so many steps? Because Bootstrap is already applying some styles. Otherwise it is very simple. Only just one effect you can apply. If Bootstrap is by default applying some effects, we need to disable them and we need to keep them in our way. Now, what is the concept of style binding? An element can change its appearance dynamically. That means we can add the effects. So dynamically, when you are removing this text, it will be red. And when I click here, that means it will be, so outside click. So you click outside, that is normal. Now, when you are typing something inside it, that will be green. If it is removed, it will be red. So how the styles are changing for an element dynamically? That is because of style binding. So syntactically, here one example how you configure is, we have to create a state style object. Just rough syntax I am giving. Set style object. Use state, and here we are giving some object. This object have some attributes. So text align something. Make sure that you are using camel case and all. So we have to use set style object. And in this we need to put some border as none. Some text align as center. Now we need to apply this to element. So we need to keep this to element by using style and style object. So we are configuring the styles dynamically. we have to use on, focus on, blur all these things? Because just to remove all additional things it is having it. So example I will just give here as this is style demo.jsx. I will copy this example. Remember, this is just a syntax example. We will implement this in our application. When we design an application, we will implement all these. Just we learn how to apply the styles to any element dynamically. That is one thing. What are the rules, how they are configured? These are the basic points. But if there are so many styles to be configured, then better you can go with another class binding. You know what is a CSS class? So a CSS class comprises of set of attributes and functions. You know, CSS class can have functions also. So many CSS functions will be there, like, you know, RGBL. So many calculation functions we can use. A class comprises of set of attributes and functions, so which you can change dynamically, So here what is class binding is nothing but React uses class name property to bind any CSS class dynamically. It uses class name property. Of course, this is the same in your JavaScript also. JavaScript also uses same class name. So it uses the class name and configures the class name. And actually, so class name is a string, so that splits multiple classes using blank space. That's what actually the point. Class name is a string that splits multiple classes using a blank space. That means generally what is style? Style is an object. It contains key and value. Then what is class? Class is a string. Class name is a string type. Then how you know that you can apply multiple classes. How you will apply multiple classes? Multiple classes are applied by using a space. That means what is the split operator? The split operator is a space. That means usually how you define syntactically. So you have any element, input type, some text, class name, and here dynamically you can apply a string. In this string you can have class 1, so you can have class 2, so you can have class 3, like this. You can separate that with a space. So you can apply multiple classes like this. So style object requires an object, and class requires an string. And you can apply multiple classes by using this. So here, when you are using Bootstrap, what happens is Bootstrap have ready-made classes. You can apply those ready-made classes, or you can write your classes. You can write the classes manually, or you can dynamically apply the Bootstrap classes there. For example, let's see here. Let's create another component. This is class binding. Okay, let's add class binding dot JSX. Okay, so we have export function, so class binding. So in this we will return, so class container fluid. Okay, here we are designing a form, we are creating a form. In the form we have a user login, that is the form we are configuring, and we have some class name. So we have BI and BI, some person, something like this. You can see we will keep this in startup. In index we will set it to class binding, and that is fine. Okay, so I will just go here and we will keep this form with some class. So class is W25. Okay, and here we have a data list and data term user ID. This is just a simple text element, and we will put a class name. You see already I am using lot of classes, and these are not dynamic, these are just static classes we are applying. Okay, then what is the dynamic class, how we apply? Let's see. Input type is text, so now we have a class name form control. It says, suppose it is a password, this is a password. Okay, and we have a button, so class btn and btn, some dark w100. These are all classes we already using. So deflex, justify, content center, and this is the appearance. So we have a margin top 4, and this is the form, and the button will have a text called what, login, and you can see the button text will come. Now what is the point here is, for this at the top I am using input type is equal to checkbox, and here I will keep a label for checkbox as a dark theme. Okay, and for this we will put a class as form check input, and make sure that, because make sure that it is in a div, because the container uses form switch like class. Yeah, and you see now there is a dark theme, a switch is present here. When I turn on this switch, this entire form should change to dark. That means it should change to dark. That means we need to just change the complete effect. So how you can configure that, how you can change the effect like that? That means you have to configure on change of this switch, change of this switch. That is a checkbox, actually it's a checkbox. In Bootstrap, checkbox radius will have a switch like appearance. If you can apply these classes, what is it? Form switch and form check input. Now how do we change? Which appearance you want to change? I want to change the appearance of this entire form, means form background. I need to apply that. So let's see, For that, first we have to create a constant. This is so theme and set theme, that is the object. Use state, and what is the data type? Style is an object type and class is a string type. It is a string type. And how do we define the multiple classes? Multiple classes are defined by using space, right? By using space. Initially, this is having some W25. We'll give 25, right? W25, that is the theme we are applying. Okay, this is the by default one class is configured. I want this theme to be used by form. That means now what we will do, we will remove the class here, and this we will put dynamic. How you keep dynamic? By using a binding expression. String can be directly used. What it is? Theme. That means it is defining the theme and showing it. Okay, let's change the theme when user is changing this. So what we will do now, we will write event for a function. We will define a function, what it is. So this is a handle theme change. Okay, when it should fire up? When user is changing the checkbox. That means for checkbox on change handle what? Theme change. And I need to collect an event argument. I need to collect whether it is checked or not. So if e dot target dot what? Checked. If it is selected, that means the checkbox is checked. What is set theme? Set theme is a string. It should continue W25. It should turn to busy dark and text white. It should turn into this. If it is not checked, so we have to use set theme and we need to keep just W25. We are just defining this now. We are applying the classes. Remember, these are multiple classes separated with space. And when user turns on this dark theme, that means when user turns on the dark theme, it should change to dark. And again, when I turn on this, then it should be normal. That means we are changing the appearance dynamically. Of course, on this I am not changing button appearance. Button also can change its appearance, right? For that, what we need to do, we need to configure another option. So we have a constant button class, btn class. We have to use what? Set button class, set btn class. So what it is? Use state. What is the default class? btn dark and w100. That is the default class. It should work. And this we will apply to this button. So button is also changing the class dynamically. It should use a binding expression. It should get from what? btn class. btn class. Now on change, when dark theme is applied, then we will set btn class as btn light and w100. Otherwise, else set button class, it should be btn and btn what? Dark and w100. That's how we need to do. Now it is going to change the appearance of the button also now. That means dynamically we are applying the classes, we are changing the classes, we are applying the styles, and we are changing the style. These are almost required everywhere, because when you design a form, it's mandatory to have validations. When you are having validations, it is mandatory that the form changes its red, green color, text values, everything. That's very general. So style binding and class binding plays one key role. And it is not just about colors, effects. It's so many things you can do. It depends on your logical thinking, how you handle. For example, suppose, see, means I will just give you just a point here. Observe, suppose I will put here, I will copy this one. So class binding, how you configure, example I will give. So we, how do we do that? Constant, we have class, some btn class something, and what we have to do, set btn class. And what is the use state you need to configure? String, it's a string type. So we need to define set btn class. Set btn class, it uses btn primary w100, like this we need to define. And how do we apply to any element? Just we have to use class name is equal to btn class. That's how we need to define. Okay, so that is how we are configuring. So example for this, what is the example? So we will copy this class binding dot jsx. Style binding and class binding dot jsx. This is class binding. So how the classes are applied? As I told you, dynamically we do this through various logic implementations. That means you have to think about the logic and implement the logic accordingly. For example, see, suppose this is fine. Suppose we are having a button here. Let's say we are having a button. So this button is defined in the page now. Yeah, just roughly. And for this button, I am applying here class name bi, and bi sort alpha down. So that is the button we are applying. Sort alpha down is the button. Now what happens is we will use btn class also. It will be in this way, btn some primary or something. Now this is the way it is having. Now what should happen here is when I click this button, it should turn up. Again click the button, it should turn down. Now what is logic? Logic is simply change according to the condition. That means, is it very complicated? No, you can easily handle this actually. That is why logic is important. So see here, suppose how you manage that. Suppose we will have constant sort class. Okay, set sort class. What it is, use state, it is a string. And what is the default? bi sort alpha down, alpha down. Sort alpha down, btn and btn what? Primary. We will put later concatenations and others also. You see here in the class name, I am removing this. We will apply sort class directly. That means by default it is having the sort class. It is having that sort class. Now when I click on it, if it is down, it should turn to up. If it is up, again it should turn to down. So what is the logic? So here we are defining an function. So the function is what? Function. The function is on click. That means handle sort click. Suppose on sort click, we have to verify already what is the class. That means set sort class. Set sort class here, it can take an expression. It can take an expression. You may be thinking about if condition, right? But it can take an expression, ternary operator. So if a sort class is already what? If it is bi sort alpha down, am I right? And btn what? Primary, question mark. So here, so it should change to what? So bi sort alpha what? Up, and btn some warning, colon. Again I am defining here, what is it? bi sort alpha down, and btn what? Primary. That's how we are toggling. These are toggling concepts. That means actually this on a button click, if it is there, then it should change. On click we need to attach now. So on click is what? Handle sort click. We have to attach the functionality there. Now on it, that means it should change. Again click on it, it should change. That is general toggling of classes. Toggling of classes. So that means you may have lot of doubts. For every doubt, code is the solution. Logic is the solution. There is nothing complicated. That means just you need to know exactly where and how we need to define. That means, so how I can apply this ternary operation here, because this set sort class is expecting a string, or it is expecting a boolean, it is expecting a number. Means what? You have to pass only a string boolean number? No, it can be an expression that returns string. It can be an expression that returns number. That means, for example, your state is defined as your state, use state is defined as 0, means it is a number, and that state is suppose total, am I right? Or state is something like count. And how do you set state? Set state, I said 1. So I said set state means just I am using set counter. Set count, I am using 1. That is the value I am replacing. Or say set count. Set count. Suppose I return like 2 into 4. That's also okay. Why? Because this is an expression that returns a number, and that number can be defined here. That means it can be any value, same type, through an expression or directly an value. In that case, you don't need to write a if condition. You can simply configure this. So that is dynamically how you apply. Not only that, general approach also. For example, see here, means I'll just keep the content here. Suppose here I am having, so heading, theme color, something like this. This theme color should change. Dynamically, it should change. That means depending on a conditions. So different conditions actually. Suppose I say constant as theme color, and we have set theme color. Okay, set theme color. And what we are doing here is we are configuring use state. And this is a string because we want to apply some class. So we are configuring this. Actually, it's a string. It's not for class. That is general string. General string, like I will give as suppose dark. Okay. Now what should happen here is we are applying the theme to this entire div. So I will put a class name, and what is that dynamically coming from? Theme color. It's a string. It's a string. Now see here, that is dark actually set. If I'm writing use effect, in use effect means at the time of loading, at the time of mounting the component. That means now what happens by default, the theme color. So we have to apply there. So the theme color we need to set for this class name is dark. I will give this as if dark. Okay, we'll write a condition. If or we write a switch. Okay, if the switch have a theme color, right? If theme color, so case it is dark. That means if the case is dark, so then what should happen? If the case is dark, I have to apply set theme color as BG dark. Am I right? And we will put a break. And I will give as success. So then what should be set theme color? Set theme color should be BG success. And for example, we have like case danger. So we have to set theme color. Set theme color is equal to BG what? Danger. So we are applying like this and break. And usually what happens now? So you see that is dark. I will just keep some padding also here. So here I will keep some style, and just I am adding padding as some 100 pixel. Just I am giving all directions some padding just to see the appearance. Now what we will do here is in this, now I will change here the initial theme as what? Danger. Then automatically it will change. Right? You change it by using success. Then automatically it change. And you know how to change this dynamically through any drop down or any radios or checkboxes. When user is selecting, you can update the value. That means, remember, not only this, actually you can write here also. Here you can write here also. What you can write, this theme colors. Suppose it is coming from this value. What is right? Theme color. This theme color you can observe here. I can write directly like a expression, and you can put a question mark. Which one? That means if it is matching with what, you can write conditions direct. That means you can directly configure the condition here. That means currently I am writing here a switch. I can directly write here. We can configure directly here. That means instead of I just used this use effect to show you generally switch how it works. Means multiple conditions also you can write, but that is not the point. Actually what you can do, you can simply apply theme color. So theme color is coming from which one? If theme color is what? Dark, then what is the theme we have to apply? BG dark. Otherwise, suppose I am applying BG danger, something like this. That means here the dynamic expression is used. Suppose at the top it is changing to what? Dark. Then automatically the dark will come. Usually you don't need to write a condition, and you can directly define the condition inside this location also. Means directly class can use the dynamic value, because you have to just return a string. How you return the string, it doesn't matter. Through expression you are returning or directly string you are returning, it doesn't matter. You can configure anyway. So this is another example of that. Means just we learnt in various ways how we can do class binding dot what JSX. So now you are clear with three things. One is data binding, style binding, class. One more major one, that is what? Event binding. If you know this, now you can start building apps, because building application requires lot of events. Once we know this event binding, now we will start designing a project, a small application with complete interactions. So in React, how do we do that? We'll see in next sessions. Right, in the next session we will learn about this event binding. This is a big concept, lot of events you have to know with different types of functionalities and all, right? And next session again will be on 18th. Tomorrow we don't have session. Institute officially declares holidays from tomorrow to 17. Tomorrow to 16 actually. So we are extra taking one more day, 17. So our session will start on 18. Right? So tomorrow no session. Again our session will be on 18th. Right? Again 18th we will meet. Okay? Right. Thank you.